right? You have a lot of turnover, possibly. Kelsey may be finished.
Where I'm looking up average life expectancy. I'm dreaming at this point. Like, I can't. I'm done with the season.
What's the next evolution of Pat Mahomes? And it's weird to be talking about a guy like, what's the next evolution of Pat Mahomes, and he's not 30. You could be anywhere doing anything, but you're hanging out with us, and we appreciate that. So wherever you're listening and however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the GamePlan podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. You can find me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on the artist formerly known as Twitter. At Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in tacos, S as in sangria, M as in margaritas. Kennedy Miller could not be here with us today, but we got a big time special guest. The man, the myth, the legend, possibly, I'm gonna say it, right? I'm gonna put it out there. The hardest working man in Houston sports media, day in, day out, giving the folks high quality content on the Houston Texans. Locked On Texans. John Hickman, what's going on, dog?
What's going down, man? Listen, I'm not the myth, maybe a legend, but I'm not a myth. Could be the man. When we start talking about myth, they start to put, is it a black myth? Is it a white myth? Is it an urban legend? Is it a suburban legend? I'm just me, man. But I'm excited to talk ball today, talk sports, just holler at you. Since they on a roll right now, 3 games in a row, they could make the city proud.
Very possible.
It's been a fun roller coaster watching these guys battle it out. Now 6-5 on the season.
I was just going to ask you, like, we were going to pop this bad boy off with the Texans. They're up to 6-5, started off 0-3. Where do you see this season playing out through the home stretch? Do you think they make the playoffs and possibly make a run with CJ coming back from the concussion?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. So you're talking to somebody, and I'm speaking to the listeners. I had an opportunity to witness the 26 unanswered points at home versus Jacksonville a few weeks ago. And in that moment, like before that moment happened, I had questions written out for D'Amico Ryans about, hey, listen, the offense just ain't working, man. Is there going to be some expected changes, moving forward? Are you going to delegate play calling duties, or maybe have a combination of guys? I had questions written out, and at the end of that game, the only thing that I could think of is, I don't know how this is going to end. Can I curse?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I didn't know how this shit going to end when I look at this Texan season. I really don't, because Davis Mills got busy. And this was after, I'm talking to colleagues, and we're all talking about the same thing. Yeah, y'all ready for this game? It's going to be boring. They got Davis Mills out there, offensive line still having issues. And they pulled it out, and then they got it done against Tennessee in the game where they should have won that game by a little bit bigger margin. Came down to a last-second field goal, literally. And then they got it done against Buffalo at home, where they go get 8 sacks. Josh Allen don't score. Davis Mills tosses 2 TDs. And so it's like, I don't know what the final outcome is going to be for Houston right now. The only thing that I can definitively say is this is the first time, I think, especially with the expectations around this franchise, a D'Amico Ryans-led team got punched in the mouth. And for them to start off 0-3 and to now be 6-5 and control their own destiny, which some people may not want to hear that. Like, we control our own destiny. We got this quarterback, we had all of this, but they are in control of their own destiny in terms of the playoffs. They responded well to the adversity early on, because some of the adversity was just playing better teams. Some of the adversity was self-inflicted. Some of the adversity was things that they can't control. I don't know. And I think if anybody wants to be real with themselves, it's hard for us to say, yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. But I don't know how this shit is going to end. And I'm being real.
I think the biggest thing I've noticed with me in Houston is, if there's one thing you can count on, is that defense is going to show up, and they're going to knock fire out of people. knock fire out of people. I don't know if you saw that clip a couple years ago. The coach in New Orleans got fired when he was talking about 2 hands, 2 feet, knocking loose, right? Every
I need to see
time,
that.
every day that ends in Y, the Houston Texans defense shows up to work. 2 hands, 2 feet, and ready to knock somebody's shit loose. Because them boys come to hit. I don't know. I think I saw it on Twitter the other day. Devion Hinton, I saw it. He's, on Twitter, he's quite enjoyable. He said a lot of teams, they have a great defense because of complex scheme and because of some other things. He said, no, the Texans just show up and for 60 minutes knock the hell out of you, right?
That's it.
And literally, they have a whole team of dudes who play like their hair is on fire on defense, right? And it's like, as long as you got that, and that can keep you in games, oh man, you can possibly make some things shake, right? And you know who would be perfect?
There ain't been one game this year where Houston got blew out.
Yeah, not one. Not a one, right? Now, again, you're always wondering if this offense can find some rhythm, find some consistency in terms of like actually blocking people. Like, as good as the Texans defense is at tackling, the Texans offensive line is almost just as bad at not blocking people, right? Like, they have problems there. And I'm like, all right, if they can ever get into the red zone and score consistently, right? If they can ever protect CJ well enough to get the ball out there, because Nico Collins is still out there. Christian Kirk, good player. Higgins, Iowa State, right?
Iowa State.
Right? You've got guys you can get the ball to, and you can possibly make this work. Now, okay, one more thing before I pass it back. You know who would have been perfect for this Houston Texans defense? You know what former Texan would have been perfect for this incarnation of the Texans defense?
Kareem Jackson.
Yes.
Kareem,
yes.
Kareem
Jackson.
We can always insert JJ with that's a cheat code. You put Kareem in this one.
Hey man, because I was like,
knocked out.
Kareem Jackson never turned down a chance to knock fire out of someone. I know Kareem Jackson is probably at the house watching the Texans play and be like, see, now that's how you should play the game. This how you should play football.
Didn't Kareem come out of them early 2000s, the 2010s, or late 2000s Bama teams where it was just...
He was 2010. Really? He was on that Bama team that beat Texas in the national championship game.
Just relentless. This is before they got to it. This is before Bama became an offensive school.
Yes.
This is BCS Bama. This ain't... Yeah, them boys are just knocking dudes out,
This is
man.
Terrence Cody, 306. They have a 370-pound nose tackle. Hey, Dante Hightower.
Yeah.
Dog, yeah. Kareem would... Oh my God. They legit might have to call the National Guard.
The defense for Houston is just... It for me, and I'm gonna say for you as well. I hate speaking for people, but we're 90s kids. And so we have, if you think about our first 15 years of experience with football compared to the first 15 years of experience of football for the 2000s babies, it's a totally different version of football. And some people may look at the game Thursday and they may try to find excuses for Buffalo, or some people may look at the game against Jacksonville and find excuses for Trevor Lawrence and what they got going on. And rightfully so, you can do that because those are two guys that are highly paid at their position. One is an MVP from 2024. But what I appreciate really from mostly everybody locally and nationally is just the admiration for this defense. And what's his name? Devon from Twitter. Listen, I think that's the perfect way to put it. We have gotten too caught up in schematically trying to win games. And Houston, hey, them boys, and I don't want to say too much, but them boys may leave out of one place, and that one place may be the same place they're going after they get some of these wins. But they just show up. they just show up, look at each other, and say, "Man, we not losing today." I talked to Aziz in the locker room a couple of weeks ago, and one thing that he told me that really stood out is the Jacksonville game. He said, "Man, D'Amico challenged us the week of that game. Everybody's calling y'all this great defense, but there's been a couple occasions where we have the lead, and my defense is out there on the last drive, and that team leaves out with points." Referencing the Tampa Bay game and Denver the week prior. And then I look at how the defense has played in the last 3 weeks. Will Anderson ain't stopped. Danielle Hunter ain't stopped.
Lasseter.
Derek Stingley quietly, and he's always just quietly he's back. Aziz being Aziz as a leader in that middle. So it ain't about nothing that they run an inverted cover 2. It ain't about none of that.
No.
It's we just bigger than y'all, we stronger than y'all, we faster than y'all, and we gonna make a play. And that's one thing I appreciate from this version of the Texans defense, man. It's just good defense, great defense being played, and it's extremely admirable.
And when is Patriot coming back?
Well, D'Amico said Monday both Petrie and CJ are still in concussion protocol. Whenever they return, they'll be back. I'm going to presume that they'll be ready both for Sunday, because that's one thing about it. In the last 3 games, we ain't seen Jalen Petrie. And you know, H-Town kid, you know he ready to smack something just for the love of the game.
Yeah, shout out to Stafford High School. Oh yeah.
He just wanna y'all out there hitting too much without me, and I don't appreciate it. I feel left out. The first swing pass that come his way,
oh man, he gonna be like, "Oh, I've been waiting to clap somebody for weeks now."
In his head, he gonna hear, "I believe I can fly," before he hits somebody.
It might make Jonathan Taylor fly while he's at it, right? Did you speaking of clapping people? Did you see when Lassiter took on the fullback, and the fullback went back a couple of steps? Dog.
No, I did. Kamari, one of my favorite young players in the league, man.
Dog.
And maybe that's because I cover him. So I watch him a lot. I see him in training camp and his growth, and you don't find corners like that. But Kamari, after the Denver loss, Kamari went somewhere. He was outside with some people. This is what I was told. I'm not going to disclose where, but he was watching film in the spot.
He outside, but he got the film
watching film.
That's
so
dedication.
Like this is Don Kamara is a different beast, man. I think it was a gamble for Houston to trade back last year. But it ain't been a lot of players that was drafted at the original spot Houston had, and where Kamari was picked around there, that's been better than Kamari in the first 2 years of their career. So I love Kamari's game.
And I'm about to look at Houston's schedule because they're going to wrap this thing up. They're at Indy on Sunday. Then they've got the Chiefs Sunday Night Football, at home against the Cardinals. I feel like they should be able to take care of business. At home against the Raiders. I feel like they should be good there. And then to close it out, at the Chargers, and then at home against Indy.
Season may come down to the Indy game.
This one or
the second one?
Oh, the last one. Oh, to close
because
the season.
They can lose against Indy Sunday, but if they beat KC, they beat. And I think KC is more beatable than Indy right now, if I'm being honest. So they beat KC, Arizona, Vegas. I always want to call them Oakland, but the Raiders.
Yes.
The Chargers look beatable. That's 4 teams right there that they could possibly win, and they'll give themselves a shot at the end of the year to either win the division, depending on what Indy does, or just secure their playoff seeding. So that's why when you ask me, what do I see for Houston? Obviously, they got to score points. They got to get down to the red zone. They got to make it happen. I think this latest offensive line combination with Titus Howard over at left guard will be the best combination of the year, and they've been it's been 50-11 offensive line combinations for them. I think this will be the best. They get CJ back soon. There's some passes and throws that Davis Mills missed Thursday that CJ Stroud gonna lay up for him, right? So they got a great opportunity to finish out the stretch strong, and we'll see. A lot has to do with how Jacksonville finishes, how KC finishes, which is a very important win for them, how Indy finishes. I think Baltimore, the Chargers, Pittsburgh. So even Buffalo, they beat Buffalo, and we'll see how Buffalo finishes. So I'm curious to see how things pan out. I think the only real locks that we have right now is New England. Shout out to my boys in Denver. Anything can happen.
You know, and that was something I was meaning to ask you about. Year one of the Mike Vrabel thing, I know at the end of last year, we kind of talked when they let go of Gerard Mayo, and I was not happy. I was ready to call Johnny the law officers of Johnny Cochran, because I'm like, this is ridiculous. See how they do us? We get 1 year with a raggedy roster, and then they'll get a job to a white man, right? But looks like Bob Kraft made the right choice, because them, like, I knew if they went and got Vrabel, they were going to be better. I don't know if I expected them to be 10-2 and be in the driver's seat to have home field throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, and
one of the things we
Drake
did
May
that
was like
was
that dude.
extremely smart was going to get Josh McDaniels. Josh, you ain't working out as a head coach in the league no more, man. Come home, get comfortable. Because this is where they already didn't allow Tom Brady to retire as a Patriot. Josh, we need for you to retire Patriot, but I kind of hated how they put Jared Mayo in that spot to begin with. It was a setup. It was a failure to begin with, and I think Kraft looked at that decision. I'm going to honor Bill Belichick, no matter how much we're beefing. This man brought my franchise 6 other things, but he was never the right guy for that position. Never. And it's unfair because I feel like moving forward, he may not get another shot because of that.
And I think that was my thing, right? I think the whole plan was that Belichick was going to coach those last 2 years, and then that what was originally supposed to be Belichick's last season, which was supposed to be the 2024 season, and then in 2025 Mayo was supposed to get the job, right? But in 2023 everything fell apart with Bill. Mayo didn't get the mentoring that he needed. They fired Bill, but they still went through with making Mayo the head coach. So Gerard didn't get the mentorship, and he wasn't prepared. And I think last year, they said Gerard Mayo had trouble filling out a staff because he had only worked and played in New England. So he didn't have a lot of connections. So they were having to call all over the place trying to find people to just fill the staff out. So he ended up with
Alex Van Pelt, the OC for the Browns.
So they ended up, I think, with a first-time head coach, a first-time offensive coordinator, first-time defensive coordinator, first-time special teams coordinator, right? Like, there needs to be somebody within this nucleus that has some sort of experience, and that wasn't there. And so I think for me, my thing was Bob Kraft should have at least had the foresight to look up and say, this guy isn't ready, and make that painful decision. Be like, I know what we talked about. I know we put in writing, or what we said verbally, what the plan was, but I loved you enough to not put you in this spot because you're not going to be successful, right? Like, I would have rather have that happen than parade Gerard Mayo out here as the first black head coach of the Patriots, and he's really got both hands tied behind his back because of the poor roster that Belichick left behind and his lack of experience and mentorship to be ready. So, but with that said, and I do think you're right, Mayo and Antonio Pierce, that is more than likely the only shot they're ever going to have at being NFL head coaches. Because I look at how long it took for Raheem Morris to get another shot. Right? It took a long time for that to happen.
Up again.
Right. And right. So, right, but I'm watching the Patriots.
Pepper wings in Atlanta.
And he back Penix and blew out his knee for the 50-11th time. So now he back out there with Kirk Cousins. And my God. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. But speaking of quarterbacks and quarterback issues and things like that, Shedeur Sanders, Stefanski announced yesterday he's going to be the starter for the rest, at least for next week. I'm not sure about what the rest of the season may hold, but I know we're going to get another week of Shedeur Sanders. And so, John, you watched the game, right?
I did. I mean, listen, come on now. I don't think that once I saw my team win at noon, I said, yeah, it's perfect time, man. I'm going to just I definitely watched that game.
Hey, man, this was the only time, like, people were willing to turn on a game between two teams that are absolutely butt cheeks. Both of those teams are straight out booty, rocking everywhere.
Like Prime V Live, man.
Look, and we the boys are Sunday night at V Live.
There was. James Harden just walked through. That's how ass that game was.
But everybody was tuned in to either hope Shedeur Sanders did very well or to hope Shedeur Sanders fell apart. So, John, what did you make of Shedeur's first NFL start?
It was his first start. I thought there were three plays that kind of summed up the game for Shedeur. Let's start with the negative. I think it was a linebacker faked the blitz, but he backed out. Shedeur didn't see it, and he threw an interception. It was his first start. All right. And then, obviously, avoiding the pressure, roll out, the 51-yard bomb down the field to Isaiah Bum. Shout out to Isaiah Bum. And I also think Cleveland got to find a way to get him more involved in the game plan and kind of phase themselves away from Jerry Jeudy. That play sums up Shedeur Sanders in the experience, and also buying some more time on the big pass play, to Jerry Jeudy, where Jerry Jeudy fumbles the ball. I think those are the three plays that can sum it up. They got down to the red zone a couple of times. Stefanski pulls them for whatever reason, but they score, so you can't get mad at it. I think Shedeur should absolutely be the starting quarterback to close out the year. And I think, honestly, if I'm being for real, I think Myles Garrett already put them on notice. Hey, I'm not playing with y'all. We ain't playing for nothing. I'm Myles Garrett. I'm finna go break this sack record. We need something else to be excited about. Play this young man. But what I hate about this entire situation, man, I can't wait to really hear more from you about it, is the way he was mismanaged and handled from the start. For one, it feels like after this season, there's no hope for him unless he goes and kills in the last 5 games. But for two, it feels like how much of his development has been tainted due to the lack of making sure he's prepared and ready. Shedeur, off camera, people talk about it all the time. Like, he takes the game seriously. He has a different persona. He wants to be his dad, and he sometimes acts like it, and that pisses people off. Is he his dad? Absolutely not. But when we look at the 2025 quarterback draft class, I feel like he was a better quarterback than Cam Ward, who went number 1 overall. So he gets to Cleveland, and for months we're hearing about the lack of opportunity, the lack of reps, the lack of snaps, and just how the overall process is being ran. I'm scared that if he don't ball out in the next 5 games, obviously they're going to get a new head coach, may get a new general manager. Who knows, that this will be his only shot. So I'm pulling for Shedeur. He has to get better. Again, I thought that he made some throws against the Raiders. The Baltimore Ravens, they were down in the throw where if that's another receiver, they may come down with that back shoulder pass. And that's to tie the game up. That was a beautiful throw in itself. So I think the arm talent and accuracy, does he have a big arm? No. But does he have the arm enough to get the ball where it needs to be? Yes, he does. Very C.J. Stroud-esque. I'm not calling him that, but in terms of ball placement, he needs those opportunities and reps. And I think Kevin Stefanski and the Browns would be fools to put Dylan Gabriel back out there. At the very least, Gabriel ain't getting Myles Garrett out of his seat.
I think the biggest thing for me going into all of it was that, after the draft played out the way that it did, I always thought that at best, like in terms of like talent, I didn't think he was a first round pick, but I also didn't think he was a fifth round pick either. Right. I think he's a guy, like, there are legitimate reasons why people would think he has a low ceiling. And that's not necessarily because they don't like him. Now, there is a correlation between the people who were yelling about Shedeur Sanders not being that good, and we think there might be a whole lot of schism going on there, right? Like, that's there, right?
That's that.
My thing with him is, all right, not very tall, not very fast, doesn't have a huge arm, like there's nothing physically that's going to wow you, but also he holds on to the ball too long, right?
He does.
And can
He
tend to
does.
drift
That was a problem out of college.
right, tend to drift, tend to freelance, these different sorts of things. Like, there are legitimate reasons why you're like, he might have some serious limitations on what this could be ceiling wise, right? But I did think, in terms of the draft, the way that happened was the idea that he didn't have an agent. Like, his father failed him, right? Like, the idea that you Shedeur Sanders, your father is your agent, your father, the head coach of a Power 4 football team, that's insane. And something that I think hadn't gotten nearly enough like talking conversation, right? But
they've made mistakes. Let me, because I don't want to not be fair to the situation. And I'm an advocate of Shedeur. We've talked about this. Shedeur, prom, the recording of the private workout with the New York Giants. They've made mistakes. And with those mistakes, Lamar Jackson was perfect and he went 32. And look at the amount of quarterbacks that were taking over him. So you made these mistakes. In the NFL world, this ain't college. And you're not under your father. And that's one thing that really irked me about the conversation surrounding Shedeur, because I'm being fair and I'm looking at the mistakes that they made as a team, but I also know that those mistakes have been taken to kind of amplify other things.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest things. I think as people, I think I would say this, as Black people, one thing we not going to do, like, we going to tell you wrong, but what we never going to let somebody do is mistreat you. Right. But I think the thing to me, like, coming into the draft process, when people said he didn't interview well and he seemed arrogant, like, that wasn't a shock to me. I was like, oh no, I never would have guessed it. A child of Deion Sanders might be a little bit arrogant. The guy flashing his watch in your face. Oh, I never would have guessed it, right?
Perfect time, man.
Right. That wasn't the thing that, like, made me sit back. Now, if I would have said, if someone would have been like, he doesn't do a very good job of processing information, or said some of that crazy stuff like that in that racist scouting report Nolan the Rocky had about Cam Newton in 2011, right? Then it would have been time to jump up and down, right? But, like, there are reasons for people to be skeptical, and some of which that we talked about. I think in Cleveland, him getting there and being quarterback 4, I'm like, there's no way they're taking all 4 of y'all through the season. One of y'all is going to end up getting traded, and somebody else is likely going to get cut. And sure enough, they trade Flacco to Cincy, send Pickett to what? He's in Vegas right now, backing up Geno Smith. He might be a
first-round quarterback that just was
a bum. He might be selling condos right now. We don't know, right? But I always thought throughout the year, at some point he's going to get his opportunity. When he gets that opportunity, he has to make the most of that opportunity, because if you're quarterback number 4 coming into the year, and it makes sense why they drafted Gabriel ahead of him. Should they have drafted Dylan Gabriel ahead of him, or why did they? I don't know. They the Brown. They do. This is very Brownsy of a thing to do.
It's the same franchise that took Johnny Manziel in the first round. Granted, that's a Heisman winner, but, like, people overlooked a lot of his mistakes for his talent, and you can do that with him. But they have traditionally scouted quarterbacks wrong, and when they did get it right, they traded him after 1 year because they felt like they needed to appease Odell Beckham.
And here's the worst part about that: they got rid of a quarterback that it's taken him a while, but is now average to above, he's an NFL starting quarterback because
Top 15 quarterback in the league.
Right. You thought because the guy that you thought you were getting, that sexual degenerate, allegedly, was going to be top 4, top 5. And Deshaun Watson got there and he ain't been able to play dead. Like in 15 years, we try to explain to people this whole Deshaun Watson thing and why, like the trade and everything that happened, like it's going to be hard to explain to people that before we found out about who he allegedly was, at these massage parlors and all these other different types of places, that dude is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, bar none. Because why else would you put up with a dude who be kicking it like this when he not at work, right? Like that's going to be really hard to explain to people. And I think, getting back to Shedeur Sanders, I think the thing for him is going to be, and I've said this previously, if he somehow finds a way to make this work, and by make this work, I mean just be an NFL quarterback, like if Shedeur Sanders, at least in my head, if he turns out to be some facsimile to Josh Dobbs or Josh Johnson or, something like that, if you turn out to just be a backup, brother, you won, right? If you, figure some way out to just be on a roster, be a good guy, right? And, be a career backup.
But see,
you won.
I don't think that can be Shedeur because, so in my opinion, Shedeur is a starter in the league or his career
He's not in the league at all.
It ain't gonna be long. And so let's look at some of the conversations we used to have about post Patriots Cam Newton, post when Cap got cut. Some of these guys, the league teams can view them maybe as a headache, or maybe not a headache, maybe more as a headline than a backup quarterback because of everything they bring with them, persona, history, you name it. And Shedeur doesn't have history, but he does have a history of pissing people off. He does have a history of making people uncomfortable, and you can only get away with that if you are a good starting quarterback.
That's
and
fair.
So I don't want him just to play the backup game or maybe the quote unquote lone game. The lone game for Shedeur should absolutely be, I got 5 games remaining. I got to ball out. I got to come back next year, and I gotta make this team competitive, and I gotta try to win a spot. Because if I'm being honest, there's not a quarterback in this draft class that blows me away.
None. And, to your point, I think my thing wasn't like, oh, just play it safe, be cool being a backup. My thing is like, if, let's say you play these 5-6 games or whatever, get some running preseason next year, doesn't work out, you never get another opportunity to be a starter again. If you're able to just hang in the league, cool. Of course, we want our black brothers to do all right. I would want to see him, what is his actual ceiling with more first team reps, all those different other types of things, right? Because my thing has been, and I've thought about this for several months, if he somehow finds a way to make this one work and figures out a way to carve out a career as a starter, like let's say even a Baker Mayfield-esque NFL starting quarterback, that'll be more than how many other 5th round picks, right? That'll be better than how many other 3rd round picks. Hell, let's think about how many 1st round picks have we seen, like Kenny Pickett, right? Paxton Lynch. How many of these dudes who, try get in there and it just falls apart?
Paxton was a 1st rounder.
Paxton Lynch, yeah, big 6'7" dude from like Memphis, yeah, couldn't play dead.
There's been some mistakes,
tons.
No disrespect to those men, by the way. I mean on the franchise, not the
yeah. But I think for me with Shedeur, my thing is if he somehow finds a way to make this work, he'll have really gotten this out the mud, because in every other situation in his football career, you can call it from Little League to now, his father has, paved the way for him. Like he's never, ever had to compete for the spot. Some would say he's never had to earn the spot, right? I don't ever want to go that far, but I'll say that the situation was as such to where there wasn't real serious competition that was going to stop him from ever being the quarterback, right? So if he figures out a way to get this one, okay. And like I said, we talked about it off air. I don't know if he'll be back with the Browns next year, or no matter how well he plays or doesn't play, I don't know if that's going to prevent them from taking a quarterback, right? Whatever quarterback that may be. Again, other than Dante Moore and Ty Simpson, them the only two I can really see.
None of these quarterbacks, in my opinion, are worth resetting your franchise for.
Yeah, so you saying like wait again till 27, and I mean, but
I don't even want to call it waiting for a quarterback. I think it would just be build your team until you find that quarterback. And this has been my problem, man. It's been a lot of perfect example. J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr. A few years ago, Zach Wilson. You just mentioned a name that I hadn't said and thought of in years, and Paxton. Like, there's too often franchises are reaching for quarterbacks, and they're putting some of these underdeveloped quarterbacks that are relying on the strength of their collegiate scheme. Dylan Gabriel, by the way, who finally found a decent home enough for him to be considered when he got to Oregon under
he
who?
my age.
Dylan is old. So, but when he finally got to Oregon, who was there?
Will Stein, Dan Lanning, whole bunch of really good receivers.
Right. So, like, some of these teams are drafting these quarterbacks in spots where 15 to 20 years ago, we would have heard it's the 3rd round pick. He's a draft. He's a project. You know, you get him around a good vet, and these guys are expected in the 1st round to be productive year 1, year 2, right? Because a lot of these teams, in my opinion, these franchises are chasing the next Josh Allen, the next Patrick Mahomes, the next, instead of looking at their roster and saying, hey, man, my offensive line need work. Hey, man, I may need to draft a DB. I may need to put together a great roster before I go overreach on a quarterback, because how often are these teams overreaching and they get their payback?
And you know that is very fair. I will say this about the Vikings. I think the Vikings, that had been their strategy. I think that's the whole reason they ended up going to get Kirk Cousins from Washington in the first place. They were like, all right, we've got a strong line. We've got a good running back. We've got 2 good receivers. That's when Diggs and Thielen were there. We've got a good defense. Yeah. All we need is our quarterback to be good enough. They're in a very similar way that last year Jalen Hurts was for Philadelphia. We just need you to be good enough. And we got it figured out everywhere else, right? Minnesota had tried that with Cousins, but at a certain point, when it comes time for you to make a play, and even with Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo, and I have this thing with Brock Purdy where I'm like, when you have Brock Purdy operate the offense, at some point you're going to need Brock Purdy to make a play. And then you remember, oh yeah, he Brock Purdy, right? Yeah. Or sometimes you're going to need Kirk Cousins to make a play, but then Kirk Cousins throw the ball short of the sticks on 4th in the season, right? Like, and I will say, the thing with the Vikings, what was crazy about them drafting J.J. McCarthy so early, they had just told Kirk Cousins coming off a torn Achilles, you not good enough, right? And the guy they draft as his replacement, who was his comp coming into the draft? Kirk Cousins. They're like, Kirk Cousins with a little bit more mobility. I'm like, damn, didn't y'all just get rid of him? Right? And I'm like,
can't trust no quarterback. That team limits him to 9 passes in the championship game and they win. I'm not picking you in the 1st round.
Yes. So, and McCarthy is so bad. There was some stat I saw yesterday. I got to pull it up. And I mean, when I say J.J. McCarthy is historically bad, I mean, he is bad in a way that may be irredeemable. Oh, here it is. J.J. McCarthy now ranks 851st out of 852 passers in EPA per dropback amongst qualified passers since 2000. Do you know the only quarterback who is ranked lower than him in EPA per pass?
Yeah. Jamarcus Russell?
Yes, Jamarcus Russell.
You know, my boy never got a second chance neither, man. I always...
Because he was sipping lean like it was Kool-Aid.
Wasn't that Lane Kiffin boy?
Jamarcus?
Wasn't Lane with that Oakland team?
You know, I do think Lane drafted That's part of the reason he ended up getting fired. And Al Davis was like, this man is an embarrassment. He will embarrass you. But
Now, his
JJ
team's
McCarthy,
overreaching, man.
JJ is historically bad in a way that a great offensive coordinator, a great schemer, and possibly one of the best receiver in the NFL cannot overcome. Like Penix, same thing. They got two good receivers out there. They got a monster back there at running back. And when he's not hurt, he doesn't play well. So, and I do think the reasons why some of these teams are throwing these quarterbacks out there so early is because you have to see what you have, because at some point you got to try to win while this guy's inexpensive, right? Because
name the last, and that bothers me, man.
I'm saying this is the logic. I'm not saying I agree with it,
That
but I'm
bothers
saying
me so much.
this is the logic.
The last quarterback to win on a rookie deal?
Mahomes. But again, he's an outlier. He's Jordan.
And,
you know what I'm saying?
Mahomes sat behind who for a year?
Alex Smith. I do think there is a thing to sitting a year, watching, learning, because these guys don't just show up. A lot of these guys don't show up as freshmen and just walk onto the field, right?
That Mahomes also had Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. They had another good weapon over there. Like,
there was an infrastructure.
The roster was already put together for their quarterback by the time he took over. And they ended up with him because I think Alex Smith got hurt that year. And then the following year, before they put him out there, didn't they went in like a couple of plays away from the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, they had made the playoffs the year before, and then they traded up to like 10 to get him, because I think the Saints were going to draft him.
Yeah, man. We need to bring back value in taking time, because rushing these quarterback developments, the development of the quarterback has seriously hurt not only the player, but it has hurt the product of the game.
Yeah, because, that was something I had thought about maybe a year or two ago when I saw last year when they benched Bryce Young after 2 weeks. And I was like, they should not have sent him out there as a rookie. Like, bad offensive line, no weapons, no running game really to speak of. Let Andy Dalton go out there and get his ass kicked, right? Like, he needs to watch and learn. Like, because I mean, you can very easily send a young quarterback out there and they come back with David Carr syndrome, right? Then got hit too much, right? You can
Lamar Jackson said his first year. His second year, what do you do?
Right. And, now again, Steve McNair, there are other examples, but again, there are guys who sat a year and they were bums, right? So it's never like a clean, like, there's a ceiling on how much, that's, applicable. But I do think just rushing to throw the guy out there because, all right, we got to see what we got and we got to try to win while this guy's inexpensive. The problem is, like, if the Jets were to draft a quarterback this year, or, last year, a couple years ago, given the roster that they have, you'd think they can go out there and win something, because the Jets have drafted well over the last couple years, especially defensively, running back some different spots, wide receiver, thinking, all right, we can make something shake. But then the problem comes out. I don't know if sitting Zach Wilson would actually make Zach Wilson any better, because Zach Wilson just sorry, right? Like, there are some people where no matter how long, like, you put them out there whenever, they're going to be trash. Like Nathan Peterman. Like, there's some of these dudes.
But Peterman wasn't a first-round pick.
Oh, no, I'm
around. We've been going back and forth on Peterman. That's been a joke for
for years. He got
to the league. I just think I think honestly, man, I think like, and it ties back into Shedeur. A lot of us, from maybe from a point of view of rooting for him, wanted him out there, but as value from sitting and seeing things from a sideline point of view.
Yeah, and watching, because I was like, that was my thing. I was like, who does it serve for you to go out there and play if you're not prepared? It won't help you in your confidence. It won't help this team win. Like, no one benefits if you go out there unprepared and you're not good. No one benefits if throwing you out there before you're ready. Like, we just don't. Like, it's like almost like putting a 7th grader in calculus. Like, right?
You're not ready.
You're not ready. If you can't do this, who does it serve to, I think, sometimes it's people's ego. My kid skipped a grade. It's like, your kid is in 9th grade and they should be in 8th and they're struggling. right? They're struggling. Like who does this serve, right? But I'm hoping he does well, right? And like I said, well enough, get another shot next year. I'm not sure that'll be in Cleveland, right? But I mean, hell, the Saints gonna need somebody next year, right?
I think the Saints like who they got right now, man. I'll be honest. I don't.
Shuck or Spencer Rattler.
Nah, they moved off to that Rattler pack.
Yeah, I'm like Tyler Shuck is. Whew, he
I
my
think
age too.
Some old guys, and I'm starting to not like that, by the way. But
these boys, shoot, all these boys up here, they've been in college 9 years. Like you look up, you like, damn, have you written your dissertation yet, sir? Like
it's kind of a cheat code.
Yeah,
but yeah, I hope Shedeur, gets his shot, and honestly, I hope it's in Cleveland. I hope, because of the type of player he is and the person he is, if Shedeur can right the wrongs of the Cleveland Browns, perfect timing.
See, you might be the first. You see this. I know you really locked in. You actually got that song on your playlist, don't you,
bro? It is the thing. I don't like the song, but I just can't.
Because I'm like, this song is terrible. Like I heard a 45-second snippet. I'm like, yo, they wasted money on an engineer and mixing and mastering on 2 minutes of garbage. But I'm like, see that I was like, Ja really might be locked in. Really might be locked in. Texas versus Texas A&M over the weekend. This might be the greatest Texas A&M team ever, or since, like, my grandparents were 3 years old and they were born in 1935 and 36. This might be the best team they've ever had. Yeah, that being said,
this is a better team than Johnny Manziel's team.
Yeah. They defensively, because that team came in with like basically a Big 12 team showed up in the SEC, and schematically what Sumlin and them boys was doing, they was giving them boys hell. Like Sumlin, Manziel, Hugh Freeze, Chad Kelly, them boys giving like Bama hell, giving them boys hell just with the formations. But the big problem that they had was defensively, they didn't have the bodies yet, right? Mike Elko got it set up. They got the boys defensively. They got horses on that defense. And then they've been able to put it together with Marcel Reed, and they got Marcel Reed some receivers out wide. I don't know if they're going to win it. I don't know if they're going to like what it is in terms of national championships or anything like that, or if they'll beat Alabama or Georgia in the SEC title game. But this is easily the best team that they've had in a while. But with that being said, you think Texas can beat them on Friday night? It hurts us both to say no. I can tell. You're like, I wish I could say yes.
I'm not going to say nothing, man. I'm going to just let the game play out. Because I will say this. Both of us, we were extremely critical of Arch to kick off the year. And I think we've been I've been on the bandwagon a lot more lately. But if I remember correctly, you kind of kicked it off a little bit last year, just being critical of Sark in these big games. Arch has been, I would say, a beautiful roller coaster. He has better numbers than the Heisman favorites, but majority of his numbers comes against Mississippi State. Teams that are not the cream of the crop. Then we also saw how they went to bed against Florida, which hurt my heart. It's been proven that when they play the creme de la creme, A&M is number one, right?
Number three.
Number three?
Yeah.
It should be number one.
Over Ohio State?
Oh, no, you know what? It should be Ohio. Who's number two?
Indiana.
I respect what Indiana has done this year. I do have a BCS mindset for some things. A&M. No, I'm serious. A&M is still an SEC school.
That's fair.
And they are undefeated.
But thing is, if you look at A&M's schedule, they have played I don't think they've played one team that by the end of the year, we're like, oh, they're good. Like LSU fired a coach. South Carolina, we thought was going to be a top 10 team. V-Live on a Sunday night. Like you look through it.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
like they've not played like they didn't have Georgia, they didn't have Alabama, they didn't hell. Ole Miss and Texas A&M both can kind. The only difference in Ole Miss and Texas A&M schedule wise is Ole Miss played Georgia and A&M didn't. In terms of both teams really haven't played the murderer's row. Like Texas' schedule is rough. Was rough.
We had a tough schedule this year. Cannot lose to Florida, but it's hard. I'm not gonna say yes, A&M is gonna win. I'm gonna just say it's hard to pick Texas right now because when we play them creme de la creme schools, man, it's either there's a breakdown in quarterback play or Sark is getting bent over and spanked.
Pause.
He's getting spanked, man, pants down. So no disrespect to Sark. Shout out to Sark, excuse me. I don't know if UT needs to move on from him or he needs to change his approach. Maybe he needs a new offensive coordinator. Do they call in Chip Kelly? I kind of don't want to deal with that headache, but maybe there needs to be more inclusion in the play calling. I'm not sure. One thing that I will say, and we've talked about this for a while, actually. I don't even know if you remember the first time I brought it up. There is a lack of physicality from guys and from Texas players on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, this line.
They've gotten better.
Yeah, it's
They've
gotten
gotten
better. I think especially center
And
and
it's a
left
lot of young
guard.
guys too.
And that is something I don't think we fully accounted for going into the season. I think we all kind of put the cart before the horse. Like this season in terms of Arch first year as a starter. They're breaking in Matthew Golden gone, Isaiah Bond gone, 4 new starters on the offensive line, right? Like there's a lot of experience that was going to be gone from the offense this year, right? Also, the running backs, I, I don't
Lackluster.
I don't recognize Trey Wisner and Cedric Baxter. I don't recognize them. Now, again, said I expected he, probably be a little bit slow to start the year coming off the knee injury. But 2 years ago, Cedric Baxter, fresh out of high school, beat out Jonathan Brooks, Jaden Blue, Keelan Robinson, and Trey Wisner.
We hadn't been able to return back to their juice.
And he got hurt fall camp last year and doesn't look the same, right? I do think Arch I think to your point about, Arch in some of these games, Arch has put up good numbers against some bad teams, but we saw him missing wide open people against UTEP and San Jose at times, in Ohio State, right? Like we saw him miss people that is butt naked open, right? And we saw his mechanics be all over the place. His eyes, his feet, like it just wasn't right. And I was thinking that this is more of not an issue of skill, but an issue of this guy. This is all up here right now. Mentally, he's rattled, and you can tell he's thinking way too much. Things seem to have settled down for him, and he's played much better. Florida game, like from the Florida game on, he's the only game I'll say that was bad was Kentucky, but the whole offense was horrible that game, right?
And me, I'm looking at this Georgia game.
Georgia game, that game, I think to me, you talking about the balls in the right places, them boys just dropping it, right? And I do think for me, when Sark, the issue that Kirby Smart seemed to have with Nick Saban in Alabama is the issue that Sark seems to have with Kirby Smart, right? Like every time Texas plays Georgia, in some sort of way, Texas is getting out coached.
every single time.
All 3 times Texas has been in different ways and in different facets at big key critical moments out coached, right? Now, what does that mean for Friday? I think it's a rivalry game. Texas is at home, which is important, right? And obviously rivalry games, you could throw records out the window, right? But Texas does not have a lot of balance offensively, right? Because Texas can't run the ball. I think this is the first time, I think since like '08 of Sark being a head coach where a Steve Sarkisian-led offense doesn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. So it's all on Arch, right? Like the play action has but so much credibility when Trey Wisner and Cedric Baxter aren't going to be efficient running the ball, right? Which I think plays into A&M's strength in the pass rush.
It does.
So I think
Don't say it, man. We know it's a game this weekend, and we're gonna watch it. And That'll be it. Man, I can't say it, dog.
Right. It's one of them things like it's hard to just get out of your lips. It's kind of like when black parents struggle apologizing to their kids, right? They're like,
doing it. You want to go to the
dinner's on the
stove?
table. Yeah, dinner's on the table. You want to go to the stove?
Yeah, I'm not doing it, dog. I'm sorry.
I got some peach cobbler in the oven for you, right? That's how black parents say I'm sorry. That's basically what we're doing. Yes.
I'm not gonna say it.
You just can't bring yourself to do it. I'm gonna ask you this, and then we're gonna run out of here. If Texas wins this game, you think they make the playoffs?
I'm gonna say yeah. Off being Texas, they beat the number 3 team. Let me, because I know we got to get out of here, man. Let me look at the schedule
because they
lost to the number 1. No, we were number 1 at the start of the season, which I thought
lost to a top 5 team, but they beat a top 10 Oklahoma team, beat a top 10 Vanderbilt team at the time. Lost by 20 something to a top 5 Georgia team. But if they win this game, this will be if they win this one, that'll be 3 wins against top 10 opponents, which I don't think anyone else in the country can say they've had happen. That if that Georgia loss was closer, we probably wouldn't be having a conversation about this as much, because that Georgia losing by 25 points looks really bad, right?
How many teams in the playoffs this year?
12.
They're gonna find a way to get them in there. They're gonna find a way.
But
I can see it happening.
They've got to win on, but the only way that happens is winning on Friday, winning on Black Friday, which
12.
I think that's the only way that happens.
Let's see who Vandy has to play, because Vandy is 12 right now.
Vandy's playing Tennessee. Georgia playing Georgia Tech. See, I can't even, in my head, I can't even worry about all that. I'm like, beat Texas A&M. That's a top 3 team, undefeated team.
LSU could very well beat Oklahoma.
Man, I saw them struggle to put 20 points on the board against West Kentucky. That is not something I feel good about right now. No, not right now.
Who does Notre Dame have to play? Man, they play Stafford.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. But yeah, I'm like, beat Texas A&M, and you give yourself a great shot. But I always say, let this be a lesson. Don't let nobody else decide your destiny for you.
Yeah, they control their own destiny. They can't lose.
Yeah, don't like you
lose.
Yeah, man, people gotta lose. And that is another episode of the Game Plan Podcast. John Hickman, my guy, I appreciate you for joining me, my dog.
Now listen, I love talking ball with you, bro. Like I always say, though, at some point we got to get to this music.
Yes, we there's a lot of music to talk about. At some point, I don't know how we gonna figure out a way to be like, all right, this is the Game Plan Podcast. We just gonna sit here and talk about Kendrick Lamar, sitting here and talk about UGK the whole time. I don't know how we gonna do it, but we have to do that. But we have to do that. Oh, John, let the folks know where they can find your work, Locked On Texans. I've been seeing you do a whole lot more writing lately, too, man. Let the folks know where they can find all of that, dog.
Yeah, man. I'm a sports columnist for Forward Times, the second oldest black publication for the city of Houston. Also find me, of course, on YouTube with the Locked On Texans podcast, and on Twitter at John_Hickman12. I've been trying to get myself to be more active on Twitter like I used to be.
Yeah.
When you've been on social media for so long and you see a lot of the weird stuff that's going on, you kind of be like, I don't know what the hell is going on. But I'm still active on Twitter, and a little bit more active now on Instagram at Some Sports Guy.
All right. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin, TSM. That's on Twitter, Alex Goodwin, TSM, T as in Texans, S as in Shedeur, M as in Michigan, as in the Michigan Wolverines. Follow the Game Plan Podcast on Instagram at _the Game Plan Podcast. Again, on Instagram at _the Game Plan Podcast. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. For John Hickman, my name is Alex Goodwin. This has been the Game Plan Podcast. We will see you guys next time. Take it easy.